Hi everyone. I did a video in a rental car a little while ago, and it was in my Volvo that I got given when this car went in for repair, and I did a parallel park video on it, and people said to me about my method doesn't get you in a small enough space. Well, this distortion of these dash cams that people weren't thinking of, but what I'm going to do today is show you. There's my method. One left, two to the right. What I'm going to show with my method is exactly how close it is to the car in front and what you can do to maybe get it even closer. So first things first, I'm going to turn the car off and let's see exactly where I've ended up. Let's just grab my phone so we can take a little quick video. So what we should be trying to do is to do this within 1.5 car lengths. And if we look at this, the space that I've finished in relation to the silver car is about that. So as you can see, my method does allow you to get in reasonably small gaps. However, what we need to try and do is make that space shorter. So what can we do to do this? Well, there are a couple of things. The method that I use, one to the left, two to the right, and then one back to the left to finish, doesn't maximize the ability of the car to get all the way in. If we're trying to do that, we should be trying to use full lock, so the car's close enough to the curb as it possibly can get, and then steer full lock out, and that's going to enable it to get into the smallest space possible. So what could you do to enable yourself to use full lock? Well, you could move your mirror down a little. By moving that mirror down a little, it's going to enable you to see the road surface for that little bit longer. But I do have big issues with that as well, that if you move your mirror down too much, what's going to happen is it's going to affect your view of the distance. That's one thing that I absolutely detest about some modern cars, that when you do select reverse, you can have the mirror suddenly dipping down. Well, seeing the curb and maybe a cyclist or a pedestrian who's going to come walking down, which is better? Well, it's pretty obvious for me. So that's not an option. But you could dip the mirror maybe a tiny little bit, and that tiny little bit is going to enable you to get a little bit closer, so you can maybe use full lock to bring the car in. But we don't want to affect that view of the distance. So what else could you do? Well, let's give you a little idea. Out we go again. In fact, there's a car coming. I'm just going to sit still. Don't want to interrupt their flow. In fact, there's a couple now as well. All good, so we will try after the Mini. So, oh, there's another van coming. I'm just going to reverse, just so it shows the van. You can come back. I'll just start the whole lot again. Is he going to park in there? I tell you what, he looks as though he's parking in this vicinity. I'll go and try and find a different vehicle. Okay, I'll try and find one with a smaller space as well. One here, so I'm going to park next to the Renault and get in that space. Hopefully we can give you an idea on what you can do. The first thing that you can do is start your first turning point a little bit earlier, but what you've got to be very, very, very careful of is going back so you do have enough room to swing the front end in. So I'll go with where I normally am. Still going to do one. if you do full lock, it tends to bring the front end in closer. So what I'm going to do this time, I'm going to lean up in my seat and wait for that road surface to disappear, and then steer full lock. So it's this front corner that I've got to be very careful of. As you can see, we are pretty close, but we're okay. But you notice full lock allowed us to finish a fair bit closer to that car, and I don't think, if I was honest, I could squeeze that first turning point anymore. The earlier you turn at the first turning point, the closer effectively you're going to get to that car, but where I judged it there was, as you heard by the sensors going off, it was as close as we could squeeze out of it. So just remember, using full lock when you've got your turning point is going to maximize that turning ability of the car and get you into smaller spaces. Let's just quickly have a little look to see where we've ended up this time and whether we're a little closer. Nearly killed me mic. Right, my lack of prep is amazing sometimes, but let's have a quick look. So, as you can see, that gap in between myself and that car in front is quite small. That's well within 2 car lengths, or 1.5 even. So, just to summarise, that first turning point can be squeezed, but not too much. Do you need to use full lock to bring the car in? Probably not, because that's then going to push your front of your car even closer to that one you're trying to get it around. And the next thing, think about what I did with my turning point. I turned a little bit later, and all I did, I've got my regular sit normal, road disappears, do my turn. But if I want to use full lock, by just lifting my head just like that, lifting the chin, it got me that little bit closer and enabled me to use full lock, so I finished the manoeuvre a little bit tighter. You can probably take a few of those things into your own method of doing things to try and help you get in smaller spaces. But this method, even the 1, then the 2, and then the 1, still gets you in a reasonably small space. You can always pull it back forward and have a shuffle, don't forget. So it is a good positive method. I hope that helps. As you can see, 1 take, absolutely winged it, dropping my mic. You know what I'm like. Take care, everyone.